Okay, good evening, everyone. Professor Mazadi. My name is Christian Rafael, and in this presentation, I would like to talk about fun and engaging ways to teach English as foreign language or EFL to young learners. Teaching English to children can be challenging because young learners have different learning needs and may have relative short attention spans. Therefore, teachers need to use creative and enjoyable activity to make students interested and actively involved in the learning process. Okay, this is the logo of the Unindra. So, in the first of the slide, I will share about the outline. In this presentation, I will first explain what EFL means and who young learners are. Then, I will discuss why fun learning is more important for children. After that, I will introduce you several strategies that teacher can use in EFL classroom, including games, song, chants, storytelling, role play, and movement activities. And finally, I will give a practical example of an English lesson for young learner and discuss the benefit and challenge of using fun and engaging activity in the classroom. So there will be introduction to EFL and young learner. Second, why fun learning matters. Thirdly, learning through games. Fourth, song and chant. 5. Storytelling and role play. 6. Movement and TPR. 7. A practical classroom example. 8. Benefit and challenges. And the last but not least, that is the conclusion. This is the introduction slide. First, let us understand what EFL means. EFL stands for English as a Foreign Language. It refers to learning English in the country where English, not main language, used in everyday life. For young learners, learning English can sometimes be challenging because they are still developing their vocabulary, communication skill, and ability to concrete. Therefore, English lessons should be designed according to their age, interest, and learning needs. Children usually learn better when they can actively participate, explore new things, and enjoy the learning process. The main idea is that learning English should not be about memorizing vocabulary or grammar. It should also be meaningful, active, and enjoyable. Okay, the next. Why does fun learning matter? Fun learning is important because children might quickly lose focus if a lesson is repetitive, difficult, or not connected to their interests. When teachers use enjoyable activity, students are more motivated to participate. Fun activity can also create opportunity for students to use English without feeling too much pressure. For example, students may feel nervous when speaking English in front of the class. However, the same students may feel more comfortable in speaking English during a game or role-play activity. Therefore, fun can be an effective way to create a positive learning environment. And however, teacher should remember that fun activity should still have learning object that I adding in the slide. Fun plus learning are greater engagement. Okay, this is the strategy one, which is the learning through games. The first strategy is learning through games. Games are powerful tool for children or young EFL learner because they make students active participants in the learning process. Through games, students can practice different language skills such as vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, and speaking. For example, the teacher can guessing games through introduce new vocabulary, bingo to review words, or create to practice vocabulary through movement. And games can also encourage teamwork and communication between students. However, games should not be used only for entertainment. Teacher needs to make sure that every game has a clear connection to the lesson object. In this way, students can have fun while still achieving the meaningful learning outcomes. Yeah, this is the second strategy, which is songs and chants. The second strategy is the using song and chants. Children often enjoy music, rhythm, and repetition, so a song can be effective way to introduce and practice English. Song can help students practice pronunciation and remember about the new vocabulary. Action songs are especially useful because students can combine language with the physical movement. Chants can also help students to practice sentence patterns and pronunciation through repetition. And teachers can use a song at the beginning of the lesson as a warm up and during the transition between the activity or the end of the lesson as a review. And the important thing is to choose songs and chants that are appropriate for the student's age and connected to the learning goals. Yeah, this is the third strategy. The third strategy is storytelling and role play. Storytelling also allow to students to learning about English through the meaningful context instead of simply the memorizing individual words. Students can understand how vocabulary and expression are used in the story. Storytelling can also develop students to listening skills and imagination. After listening a story, teachers can also use role play to give students an opportunity to use English themselves. For example, after listening a story about animals, students can act different animal and introduce themselves to using simple story. This activity combines listening, speaking, imagination, creativity, and the social interaction in one learning experience. This is uh, the next strategy, which is movement and TPR. TPR is the teaching approach in which students respond to language through the physical action. For example, the teacher can say stand up and students perform the action. This approach suitable for young learner because children often enjoy moving and participating in physically. One simple activity that teachers can use is Simon Say. In this game, students listen carefully to the teacher instruction and perform the correct action. Through this type of activity, can the students can practice listening comprehension and understand English instruction. Also, being physically active and movement can make this classroom more dynamic and help students stay engaged during the lesson. Okay, the next one. Okay, this is the practical classroom example. For example, animal. Here is an example how the strategy combine on English lesson. The topic is animal. First, the teacher can start animal sound of movement as a warm up. This helps students become interested and ready to learn. Next, students can learn new vocabulary through the picture guessing. The teacher can introduce words such as a cat, a dog, a leopard, lion, and monkey. After that, students can play animal crates. One student act like animal while the others guess the animal. For speaking practice, students can use the sentence like my favorite animal is cat because it is cute. And finally, the teacher can give the students quick vocabulary quiz. And the activities is so fun and also have a clear learning goals. By the end of the lesson, students should be able to recognize and use the basic animal vocabulary in sample sentence. Okay, in the next slide, this is the benefit and challenges. Fun and the engaging activity provide the many of benefit. They can increase students' motivation, encourage and participation to help students feel more confident when use English. This activity can also help students remember vocabulary and create the more positive classroom environment. However, teacher may also face several challenges. For example, games can sometimes make the classroom noisy and difficult to manage. Teacher may also have limited teaching time. And another challenge is activity may become focused only fun instead of learning. To solve that problem, teachers should plan activity carefully, establish clearly the classroom rules, and make students uh, uh, is more clear in the learning objective. Okay, the next one is conclusion. This is the last slide. To conclude this, teaching English it should be active, meaningful, and enjoyable. Teacher can use games, songs, storytelling, role play, and movement to make English lesson more engaging. However, fun activity should also have a clear educational purpose. The goal is not simply to make students make fun, but also to help them learn and meaningful. When the children enjoy, they are willing to participate, and therefore, creative teaching can make the EFL classroom more positive, active, and effective. As a teacher, we should to remember that learning English is not only about learning words and grammar, but also creating experience that encourage students to communicate and enjoy the process of learning. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching my presentation. I hope this presentation show how fun and engaging activity in English learning for young learner. Thank you everyone for your attention. Have a great day and thank you for Prof. Masadi.